Welcome to Weekly Quest. This week we're going to look at a question that God asked himself. He either asked himself or he was talking out loud to the angels, wondering, should I hide from Abraham what I'm about to do? He was talking about the city of Sodom that had become so wicked. The people were so self-absorbed, selfish, arrogant. The sexual perversion was off the charts. And he had already made up his mind the city needed to be destroyed. But what he was wondering was, should he give Abraham a heads up of what was about to take place in this city, because Abraham's nephew Lot lived in that city with his family. You're probably familiar with the story, but I encourage you this week, read Genesis 18 and 19 just as a refresher. It's a fascinating story, and we're going to pick up some really great tips from Abraham, what to do when God tells you one of his secrets. The Bible says in Psalms that the Lord confides in those who fear him. But when God reveals the secret to man, it's with the expectation that man will step up with some responsibility and act on or not act on what God has shown him. Throughout the years, God and Abraham had developed a close, meaningful relationship, and there's no doubt that Abraham truly feared the Lord. He had an utmost respect for him, deep recognition of his holiness, and a strong desire to please God just because he loved him so much. Now the Lord is about to bring judgment on the city of Sodom, and there's one person in the entire world that God is going to let in on the secret, and that person is Abraham. So how did Abraham respond? Well, the angels left him and they headed towards Sodom, but Abraham never went with the angels. He stayed where he was, and he began to intercede on behalf of the city. And that story of intercession is amazing because he begins with, okay, so God, if you find 50 righteous people, will you spare the city? And God said, yeah, if there are 50. And then he worked his way down to 40, 30, 20, and he gets down to 10 and says, if you can find 10 righteous people in Sodom, will you spare the city? And God said, if there are 10 righteous people, I'll spare the city. Of course, as we know how the story unfolded, there weren't even 10 righteous people in the city, and the city, of course, ended up being destroyed. But it's interesting because after Abraham spent time with God, the Bible says he went home and he went to bed. He didn't stay in that place where he could see Sodom at a distance and kind of watch to see what would happen. He went home and he went to sleep. And while he slept, the city of Sodom was destroyed. And of course, God in his mercy spared Abraham's nephew Lot and his wife and 2 daughters. But in the morning, when Abraham got up, he went back to the place where he had met with God. And then he viewed the destruction of the city. You know, sometimes God will speak to us. He'll reveal something to us. It might be a caution. It might be a warning. It might be, he might speak to us about something, some event, a preview of what's to come. And if that ever happens, we need to follow Abraham's lead. First of all, we need to stay in God's presence and dialogue with him until we sense a release and a peace in our heart. That's called praying through. Then we need to just go to sleep. We need to rest. God never reveals his plans to cause us to stress or to bite our nails or to freak out or to become anxious. He has a plan, and there's a reason why he speaks to us and reveals these things. He never intends for us to lose sleep over what he's going to do. That's called trust. And then in the morning after we sleep, we need to go back to the same place where we interceded with God. And we need to meet with him again because he will continue to give us peace and confidence. That's called relationship. So the Lord confides in those he trusts, and man earns that trust by fearing the Lord. And we keep that trust by staying in his presence and seeking his wisdom. So my question for you this week is, what has the Lord revealed to you? And what are you doing about it? Enjoy the week.